Who were the artists in American art who first engaged with environmental issues? I think you'd have to begin with Thomas Cole, who was among the first landscape artists in this country and certainly the most prominent of the early ones. However, our take on his art is unusual in that we argue that rather than decrying the human incursion into this pristine American landscape, that he was actually seeking to accommodate the one to the other. That changes in the work of artists of the mid-19th century when the Industrial Revolution gets going and the recognition that human impacts on the land were very much greater than they had been. It's not, however, until the 20th century that artists begin to make explicitly environmental art, that is to say, art that is first and foremost about the environment. And that really comes to the fore around the time that Rachel Carson is writing Silent Spring and the first Earth Day happens in 1970, when there's the recognition that the environmental crisis is a global one and an important one, and artists respond with works of art that engage that issue very directly. I think that artists dealing with environmental themes today are appropriately and even necessarily expansive in both their methods and in the subjects they engage, because we now know that environmental effects and issues are truly global in scale. And so many of the works of art in the show from the later period that deal with environmental concerns are doing so not in a specifically American context, but rather in a global one, which is appropriate given that we're in a time when global effects of environmental change are everywhere.